Hello fellow mutants, welcome back to another video, and in this video we're going to talk about how Mark Hamill addresses whether or not his view on The Last Jedi has changed since it's now been 5 years, give or take. Has it been 5 years since The Last Jedi? I think so. But long story short, it's been some time since The Last Jedi came out. And it has been a very divisive movie. That and The Rise of Skywalker are two divisive movies, controversial in the Star Wars fandom. I think it was has been more controversial than the prequels were when they were coming out. At least from what I've heard, when the prequels came out, because when the prequels came out, I wasn't really into Star Wars, truth be told. But let's see where Mark Hamill gets, and I'll stop blabbling on and start reading. Mark Hamill reveals if he had changed his mind about Rian Johnson's Star Wars: The Last Jedi, the eighth film in the Skywalker saga, and the second one in the sequel trilogy, properly brought back Hamill's Luke Skywalker after his short cameo at the end of J.J. Abrams' The Force Awakens. There was high expectations for the hero reemergence, especially since his whereabouts were a big mystery in the sequel initial premise. Ultimately, however, Star Wars: The Last Jedi depictions of Luke Skywalker became so controversial, with some longtime fans arguing against it. Hamill eventually chimed in on the conversation and agreed with the parts of those criticisms. And I have to admit that Luke was way grumpier in this movie than I expected him to. But I wasn't exactly a big fan of why they had him be so grumpy, him nearly killing his nephew. But I was somewhat more okay with the grumpy Luke when I saw it, because I knew we had one more movie, and this was as I was watching the movie before he died, how he died was a bitch move. I don't mind Luke's dying, the way he died was bitch move. But Luke, the reason why I was okay as I was watching the film the first time, with Luke Skywalker being grumpy, was because I knew that we were going to have one more movie after this. And part of me assumed that we were going to see Luke Skywalker again in the flesh, not as Force Ghost, in the next movie. And granted that Luke Skywalker in the Rise of Skywalker was more of the Luke that we knew than the Last Jedi Luke, it still doesn't excuse that the Jake Skywalker, as Mark Hamill says, it was not what we were expecting from Luke. And I get that he's a broken man because he's ashamed of what he has done, trying to kill his nephew. But I don't remember Obi-Wan being grumpy, and he left Anakin to die on Mustafar. And I guess on Tatooine, if you include the Kenobi show. Which, that's the whole conversation in itself. Which if you guys want, I can make a video about that, telling you guys how I feel about that. Obi-Wan leaving Vader on Tatooine, alive. Anyways, let's continue, because this isn't about Vader or Obi-Wan. Star Wars: The Last Jedi makes its 5th anniversary this month. I was right, 5th. Okay. In light of this, Hamill was asked on Twitter if his thoughts about it have changed. This includes whether he still has regrets about the film panned out for his Star Wars hero. For a context, actors started to become vocal about his issues with a darker approach to Luke Skywalker in the movie, essentially saying that he doesn't recognize the character. And I can Even though, like I said, when I first saw the movie, I didn't mind the darker Luke Skywalker a bit. I can understand people having issues with that. Looking back, I do also have issues with it too. But I feel like I don't have as much issues with it as some other people do. But I do have issues with how like dark they made Luke, how they depict Luke in The Last Jedi. Anywho, let's continue reading. And we see a screenshot of Mark Hamill's tweet, which I will have this article in the pinned comments down below. If you guys want to read it, you guys can. It says, a fan says, hi, and then they add in Mark Hamill. Since it's the 50th year anniversary of The Last Jedi release, do you have any incident dots or memories? And I probably butchered the A word, so sorry. From making the film you would be willing to share? Have you changed your mind about anything after these past 5 years? Would you have done anything differently? Thank you. So Mark Hamill, to the first question, if there's any memory that he wants to share, he said not really. To the second one that says, have you changed your mind about anything after these past 5 years? He said a little. And to the third question, would you have done anything differently? He said yes. And then he said and I guess to thank the person saying thank you, he said you're welcome. So he doesn't really go into what he would have changed, or he doesn't really go into much detail from this screenshot, but yeah, we get the picture. He would have changed some stuff. So why The Last Jedi is so controversial? Star Wars: The Last Jedi was a blockbuster hit for Disney and Lucasfilm, earning more than $1.3 billion at the global box office. And yes, the reason why it was a financial success was because it was coming from two films. I feel like that was was received in a good way. The Force Awakens, which you can argue was a rehash of a New Hope, and Rogue One. Both films, I always say this, I do enjoy I do enjoy The Force Awakens as a standalone movie and as a starter movie. The Force Awakens did a good job being a starter movie. The only thing I would have changed was having Luke coming in and saving Rey or whatever, or having the reunion, whether it was in flashbacks or in current time. I would have that reunion between Han, Luke, and Leia. It doesn't have to be a reunion. It could be something like Han, and they could have de-aged if they wanted to, even though it would have been weird, but still. Where Han and Leia was talking to Luke about, we would like for you to take our son to do Jedi training. And we could have had a younger Ben Solo. It would have been a flashback, sure. But at least we would have seen Han, Luke, and Leia. Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford, and Mark Hamill on screen together for at least one last time. Which we would was the last time we saw them on screen together one last time was Return of the Jedi. Together, not Han and Leia and Luke. No, all three. So that's my only major criticism to The Last Jedi. They didn't have that reunion. But I do like it as a setup movie for a sequel, because it did set up multiple potential stories that I wish we saw. Anyways, enough of that. Let's get back to why The Last Jedi was so controversial. The criticisms boiled down to a few things, but mainly focus on Johnson's depiction of Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker's role in Last Jedi is highly divisive, as the legendary Jedi wasn't the optimistic hero that he was in Star Wars Return of the Jedi. Instead, he was skeptic. He was a skeptic, having already given up on the cause of the Resistance, fighting the First Order following Ben Solo's dark turn. He even initially refused to even help his sister, General Leia Organa, when she sent Rey to reach out to him. Secondly, The Last Jedi ignored many of the plots set up in The Force Awakens. And yeah, I can see, yeah. I remember hearing that. And I had to rewatch The Last Jedi, because that was skipped to me. I have it on DVD, because, again, that was skipped to me. And, after I saw it again, I realized, yeah, I can see where they ignored plot setups in The Force Awakens. So, shame on you, Ryan, trying to defy the fandom. And the third says, despite the backlash he got on the creative decision he made of Star Wars The Last Jedi, Johnson maintains that he still loves Star Wars. The director was in line to direct his own Star Wars trilogy, but development on that has seemingly stalled, and specifics on the endeavor remains scant at the moment. And truth be told, I don't really have faith that Johnson's trilogy will come out. I mean, logically, Johnson, we should have had a trailer to his first movie in the trilogy by now. And the first movie should have, in his trilogy should have came out, May of 2023 if it didn't come out this year. And Rian Johnson's been doing, Knives Out and other projects. So I really don't have faith that he will make his own trilogy. And after what he did to The Last Jedi, him going there, trying to be divisive and all, I'm not even sure if I want Rian Johnson to be, what's the word? To be at the forefront for another Star Wars movie. Unless if he has, reference and respect for the lore of Star Wars this time around, I don't want him there. Because clearly he didn't do that for The Last Jedi. And he disrespected not only George Lucas, but his fans by doing that, the route that he took. So unless if he takes, his trilogy with reference and respect to the lore of Star Wars, no, I don't want Rian Johnson to even touch touch Star Wars ever again. So for some fans like myself, Star Wars is sacred. Star Wars is sacred. I mean, hell, I have multiple lightsabers. I dress up as a Jedi. I cosplay as a Jedi. I even make TikTok videos as me as a Jedi. Star Wars is a very sacred thing to me. And it's like Nemo, my cat. He is like a son to me. He is precious. He is my world. He is my everything. And I love him so much. There isn't anything that I would not do for him, because he means that much to me. And if, it's kind of like if someone mistreats Nemo. Oh, I would go off. I will go off. Your ass would be cursed out by me. That's kind of the same. I know I'm kind of using Nemo, a living being, as an example in this case. But imagine my analogy I use with Nemo, my example I use for Nemo, but for Star Wars fans. For those of you who don't understand why there's such anger towards Ryan Johnson. Imagine that analogy, that example I used for Nemo, but for people who are mega fans of Star Wars. And then now you guys can understand how, like, those fans feel. Anywho, Hamill has returned a couple of times to the franchise via Luke Skywalker cameos on Mandalorian and Book of Boba, which were great, and I love those cameos. Nerded out when I saw Ahsoka and Luke interacting with each other in Book of Boba, admittedly. But yeah, Luke Skywalker in I can't understand why, like, like, the criticism and stuff like that. I think that Luke Skywalker was done dirty. I generally think that Luke Skywalker was done dirty in The Last Jedi. And Mark Hamill too. And I just feel like they, like, disrespected George Lucas in a lot of areas, or in some areas, let's say, in the sequel trilogy. To be honest, and the sequel trilogy is my least favorite trilogy of the three trilogies, and I will acknowledge that there are some moments in there that I did like when Rey touched the Skywalker lightsaber in The Force Awakens, and she got that crazy badass Force vision. I thought that was cool. I enjoyed seeing, like, when, like, Luke Skywalker got his hope, and he, like when he's, like, interacted with Leia, and when he was starting to walk out there to face the First Order, pretty much being the distraction that the Resistance needed to get out of there. I did like that little moment. Wasn't much of a fan of him dying, like how he died, I mean. And admittedly, I did enjoy seeing Luke Skywalker in the Rise of Skywalker racing the X-Wing out with the water. I immediately enjoyed that. And seeing Lando in the Rise of Skywalker. So I'm not afraid to say what I enjoyed out of something I generally disliked. But like I said, the sequel trilogy is my least favorite trilogy. It's a hot mess. And I hope if they do a sequel trilogy to the sequel trilogy, at least the Disney's version of the sequel trilogy, that they will have a plan. They will have more reference and more respect to the franchise than they did with the sequel trilogy. And more reference and respect that Rian Johnson did when he did The Last Jedi. But with that said, I'm going to shut up. I've been talking in your guys' ears for practically nearly 20 minutes now. What do you wonderful people have to say? Let me know in the comment section down below. Love you guys. I better shut up so he can sleep peacefully. May the force be with us all.